BILLAM-SMITH, though, he won the fight, but was he convincing in the process?
I've got to say, Jim, he had to go soul-searching in that fight. I mean, after about 4 rounds, it wasn't really going Billam-Smith's way. I think Mastinak come with a great game plan. He was hitting Chris with, right hands. Chris started it a bit slow, a bit sluggish. He always does anyway, but he sort of grinds out the victory, and that's effectively what happened. But, he had to go soul-searching. I think after about 4 rounds, I saw him walking back to the corner. His head dropped, and you just look at him and think, he's only got a round or 2 left here. I think Shane McGuigan done a great job in the corner. He pumped him back up, and Chris come out, and he effectively turned it around. I think 7th round was key for Chris Billam-Smith. I think that's where he turned the screw, and he got the job done. A left hook to the body, and I think that Mastinak popped 3 ribs actually, and he couldn't come out for the beginning of the
3 ribs.
Yeah, 3 ribs.
No wonder he couldn't carry on.
I mean, Simon, you was there, and
yes.
that was a tough fight, and it was one of those. I didn't know if he was going to turn it around. At one point, I felt that it was beyond turning it around. I don't know what you felt.
I thought that he was taking more punishment than I was comfortable with him taking, and I also felt that at times, as the rounds went by, that his mouth was dropping and he looked like he was blowing harder. But you saw in the 6th round, you saw his corner get at him and across him, and he came out in the 6th with a different dynamic, a different feel, and started to take the fight to Mastinak. I always felt that this would go later, and that I thought we would win the fight. I didn't think it was going to be a spectacular occasion in terms of it was from the fans' point of view, because the audience were fabulous. But from a spectacle in terms of it wasn't a world-class fight. It wasn't a world-class performance. But I suppose in your first defence of a world title in front of a very partisan crowd, feeling that pressure for the first time, it might well be that it's a bit laboured. He got the win. The other fella, I think the fight was turning. I think he would have gotten rid of him by 8, 9 or 10 because I think Mastinak was beginning to slow down, but he did make hard work of it, and it did show me that Chris has got to step up a few levels when he starts fighting some of the other cruiserweights.
The big question now is, Spence, if he goes in next with the likes of Richard RIAKPORHE, the two of them friends, but they wouldn't be friends once they get in the ring with each other, who would come out on top? We spoke to RIAKPORHE about Billam-Smith.
I think he was pretty lucky to get through that fight. That fight was really tough. It's exactly how I expected it to go. I believe that Mastinak was going to be very tricky. I've had the opportunity to share a lot of rounds with Mastinak, and I knew he throws that right hand over the lead hand jab. He's quite intelligent. He knows when to fight, when not to fight. And I knew it was going to be difficult for him. And to be honest, I was actually leaning towards Mastinak to get the W. Chris Billam-Smith pulled it off. So congrats to him. And that just sets up a massive fight, a massive domestic fight between us two.
So, if they were to get in the ring together, would Billam-Smith more than match up to RIAKPORHE?
Well, look, they have shared the ring before back in 2019. It was a close fight. The action was swinging one way and the other. RIAKPORHE won that one on a split decision. Since then, they've both gone on. They've both had great careers. RIAKPORHE's waiting for that world title opportunity, and he does get that, and it is next, and it is against Chris Billam-Smith. I think we've had confirmation of that. RIAKPORH's going to be made mandatory for the WBO, and that fight does happen next, so it's going to be great. It will end up back down there.
It's an interesting one, Jim.
Yeah.
Because Chris Billam-Smith has fought world-level opponents. I'm not so sure Richard has, but Richard has got a different mindset. So the big battle that RIAKPORHE is about confidence and belief in himself. So he's crossed the Rubicon in terms of belief, and Billam-Smith has crossed the Rubicon in terms of winning world titles.
Sure. And
so
also,
it makes it a level playing field. I still think Richard wins it.
And also, I think that what we've seen with Chris Billam-Smith, we saw it against Lawrence Okolie, we saw it definitely against RIAKPORHE, is that, last time out against Mastinak, is that he can bite down on his gum shield. He can go to a dark place.
But he's going to need to.
But we've not seen that from Richard.
Yeah.
I think what we see from Richard is that we've known that he's always had that ability, but he hasn't had that ability in his own belief before. He's now got that, and that's what makes this fight really interesting. It's one of those. It's a flip of a coin. I would probably lean towards RIAKPORHE as the favourite going into this fight.
But also the home crowd. If he gets 17,000 people in the Vitality, it does provide an atmosphere. Okolie didn't fare well in that atmosphere.
Yeah,
you never know. But I pick Richard.
Simon, you saw the whole thing. I think you were in town to see Ben Whittaker fight, right?
I was, yeah.
So in he comes. We know he's a showman, Spencer, but I didn't know he was a showman to this extent. A hell of a lot of showboating. What did you make of that? Is it disrespectful, or is it part of him?
A bit of both. I mean, if he walks,
are you having it?
A bit of both. I think there's a balance between disrespect. I never liked the way Nazim Hamed taunted Steve Robinson and took the mickey out of him when he won the world title in Cardiff, I think it was. But you have to admire it to some extent. He won't be doing that to Anthony Yard. He won't be doing that to Lyndon Arthur. He won't be doing that to Josh Buatsi. But right now what he's doing is he's creating a persona.
Yeah.
The boy has the ability and probably the looks and the characteristics to be a bankable superstar. He knows this. The audience kind of reacted in a way where they went, "Oh, all right, mate, that'll do."
Yeah.
And the moment the audience turned, he went out, bang, knocked the kid
We
out.
saw it with a young Nazim Hamid at the beginning of his career, exactly that, the showboating, and it will be like, extensive when you're boxing a guy that's, a few calibers below, where you're at. But he won't get away with it when he steps up, and the showboating will slow down. But one thing I can say about Ben Whittaker is he is really good. I think he is, the next superstar of British boxing. I really believe that. I think that he's got everything. He's got, great
It's a great division,
judgment of
It's a
distance,
great division,
great awareness. Yeah.
He might meet his match one day though, Simon, with this showboating routine. It just makes me think
Jimmy's
of
good.
Adrian Barona.
Remember
him?
Yeah, with Marcus Medina. Right?
Yeah.
But
he's in another level.
But he is. Ben Whittaker is good, and he will. And as he goes through the gears, he's 26 now, 5 pro fights, right?
Yeah.
As he goes through the gears this year, maybe he has 5 or 6 more fights because I think they'll get him out quickly as much as they possibly can if they can keep him fit. This boy, each time he goes up a level, will continue to improve because he's got the lot.
We've got Dan
the
Aziz and Joshua Boatsy going on February the 3rd in the final eliminator for the WBA title. What I wanted to say is...
He's not going near those two.
No, but I'm saying 2024 is going to be a big year for Whittaker and it's going to be hard to hold him back. I'm saying by the end of the year, do you see him there or thereabouts,
Possibly.
up that sort of level?
I'll tell you what I see next. I see, with all due respect to Dan Aziz, if Boatsy gets the job done, I see the next fight being Boatsy Yard. And that's going to be a barnstormer.
Oh, that would be magnificent, wouldn't it? Jai Opetaia, you like this guy, don't you?
Can't knock, can you?
He's to vacate his IBF Cruiserweight title. Eddie Hearn has said that Opetaia, who's fancied by many to go to the very top, Spence, will now vacate his Cruiserweight world title after the IBF rejected his voluntary defence against Zorro on December the 23rd. Opetaia has a 2-fight deal to fight in Saudi for what's described, not unsurprisingly, as life-changing money. This guy is destined for huge things, is he not?
Absolutely.
We spoke to him the other day.
Yeah, look, he's the monster of the division, and I think that he's going to be difficult not to get another world title shot. But I understand from the business point of view why they've done this. It's a 2-fight deal, life-changing money, etc. And where the IBF were at is he won the title from Marius Bradus, and I think Marius Bradus had an immediate rematch clause in place. He got injured, so he got pushed back. He's had a voluntary defence already last time out against Jordan Thompson.
Which is levels
so the IBF won't allow him to have another voluntary before he boxes Bradus again, and that's where the complications have gone. So I understand they want to strip him of the title, but listen, he's the best in the division right now, and I think that 2 fights out there, he'll get another world title shot anyway. The Saudis will bring another world title into the mix without a doubt. So
he does need to wind his neck in a little bit about the opportunities that have been denied him and how poorly he's been treated by promoters when he's taken a choice to vacate a world title. Because last time he was pretty condemnatory about how everyone has stopped his opportunities and promoters need to do better. He's made a choice to vacate a world title now.